Hello my friends, welcome to Inside Electronic channel. This is Uncle Misha, and today we are trying to repair this ZMD Walkman MZ NF610 Type S. So as seen in my previous video, it is not working. So let's try it again with fresh battery and see. It's making this quite ticking noises and does nothing, so not even the screen. So probably it has a little bit of an issue. I'd like to have this repair because this one seems to be nice looking, relatively in okay shape. Yeah, but clearly we have to try to repair it. So for that you'd have to open it and let's start fixing it together. Alright, so let's get it opened. It has a few screws on the perimeter. Let's start from removing this part. I don't have the service manual, but I usually already taken apart and repaired many of those. So they are relatively simple construction, as you'll see in a moment. Only 4 screws. We'll try not to lose anything. Also, this is going to be an opportunity to actually clean all this up because it's very, very, very dusty. I believe this guy has probably has an issue with the okay, this has to be this is lodged. Okay. But I hope this is the only issues. There's no like a water damage or anything like that. So far I don't see anything. There's no capacitor damage. It's a bit dirty inside. Like this guy is like it. Judging by how this all look like, there is no like battery damage. So there was no leaked battery. It's just quite dirty. There was no water damage as well because this copper shield would be all corroded otherwise. So the PCB is quite typical for this type of player, and it seems to be looking okay. I don't see any kind of water damage. I'm gonna take a look with my little magnifying glass just up close, but so far I don't see anything bad. Okay, so our next step would be to remove the front. That's again 4 screws. This would give us the understanding. The screws are a little bit different, so they are different kinds. Oh, only 2 screws. Okay. What's going on? Okay, just like so. Usually there is a quite a complex, not complex, but okay. Right. Then ideally would like to disconnect the front display. Where's my tweezers? Okay, so front display is disconnected. Okay. Now we can power this thing up and see what's really happening with the laser sled. Technically all this can be removed, but let's not rush it at the moment. Okay, this is, by the way, if you don't know, this is the erase head. Okay, after all, I actually decided to put the display unit back on. If for the reason is I won't be able to see anything if there is some kind of a reaction or control anything. So let me put it back on. I'm gonna connect this, and I decided to power. Okay, that's not gonna go well. Has to be nicely. Here's my prepared device for this. Nicely pressed in. Nicely connected. No, it's not that nicely connected. One more time. Has to be nice and snug connection. Okay, I decided to use not the battery, but the power bank. So I have this Sony power brick which came with one of the players, and let's try to power it up and see. Let's remove all this garbage. I just want to see what's happening. Absolutely nothing happening. I thought of, unless this treated as open. Yes. Let me hold this together. Huh. No signs of life. It's not good. Also, I don't see anything on the screen, so I don't really like it. Yeah, looks like it would be actually easier with the battery. Yeah. Okay, so I'm not sure if I can illustrate you, but look, listen. I don't know if you heard, but it's like you press the button, it does this clicky, 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 click. Yeah, I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean. Maybe that has to be engaged as well, I don't know. Yeah. All right. Okay, it's not looking good. So we have to probably dig in a little bit further to understand what's going on. Interesting that I didn't hear this click, click, click while using the power supply, so this is interesting. Okay, so looks like we have to dig a little bit in, and I also noticed that someone was already here because this screw was missing here, so clearly. Let's dig in a bit further. One already wasn't screwed by me, so -2, but now is interesting part. I have to lift it nicely. Oh, there is one more screw. So 4 screw total. Alright, now we have to disconnect this guy. Okay, and just kind of fish it out nicely. Alright, just like that. But there is gonna be another one. Just for the safety, I'm gonna use my ESD safety. Okay, so I switched to ESD mod, which is kind of crooked. Sorry guys. Okay, let's just straighten it up, and let's put this really tiny screws a bit further down here. Okay, here we are. Here's the screen. Okay, and I connected my wrist strap. Because all this stuff is a wee bit ESD sensitive, especially laser, so I'm not sure if... Yeah, someone was in here, definitely, yes. Okay, let me do some soldering. Alright, so what I do, I have to first of all desolder those 2 points just to free the recording head. So for that we would use a little bit of flux. Hope this is like low temperature solder, because I don't want to mess it up. No, it is not. We need higher temperature. And also I know that this is not easy to lift. Okay, I'm gonna remove as much solder as possible. Then use the low temperature solder I have. Alright, just like that, easy peasy. Okay, recording head is disconnected. Okay, let's just do this, just reduce temperature to 200. The next part is very important, so if you see right over here, now it's really hard. You see this blobby in the center of that ribbon cable? So we have to short it in order to make sure our laser is not dead. So let's see. So this is 180C solder. Let's test it if it's... yes. It's a lower temperature solder, and I am using it on ribbon cables just to make sure I'm not gonna destroy them. So a little bit of flux. But definitely someone was here before, that's for sure. Because there is a lot of flux residue on that blob here. Okay, I'm trying to short it. And it's not easy. It floats too good. Did I do it? No, I didn't. Did not cooperate. Look at that. It's kind of asking for a little piece of wire or something. Oh. So I end up bridging it with super thin piece of wire from the hard drive ribbon cable. Yeah, those are pretty thin, a single strand, so I'm gonna cut it to the size. Just like that. Alright, so we've done that. Got to shut down soldering iron. Just double check if it's all good. Yes, seems to be alright. So now we can disconnect this connector. And usually put it back is very hard. I don't know why I'm disassembling all this, because clearly there is no issue here. Okay, let's check something here. So here is our tape mag. Tape mag, what I'm said, like a laser mag. And now I'm gonna try to understand. So this is not, seems to be moving how it's supposed to be. Okay, let me see. So this worm drive actually, it's supposed to be, it's like a, what is it? No, it's not. Yeah, it is going, sorry, it was super slow actually. So our laser is not stuck. Okay, fine. So because I had the impression that, but it is barely moving. Did someone? Not supposed to making this kind of clicky noises. This is not good. But it's moving, it's not. It feels like the motor is gone. It feels like this gear sits a little bit too high and kind of skipping. Why it sits too high? I have no idea. It's not too high, but I don't know if I can show you here. You see, it's okay, but it's like, I would say on my liking it's a bit too high. But maybe it's like that, supposed to be like that, don't remember. Okay, so I continually trying to recover this thing, and I actually got loaded the service manual of this thing on here, and I start kind of following yeah, so I follow, like, this is the information about the shorting the optical pickup, just to make sure it's not gonna die. And here there is interesting information. When performing the repair with the power supply to the set, removing the main board causes the set to be disabled. In such case, make a solder bridge to short SL802 on the main board. Very interesting. Every time I know something. Okay, I see, I don't know, I have no idea where the hell is this. Is this? I see. So this is somewhere in between. Okay, so that's the one, right? It looks like this is the tiny one, like over here, GE, like. So we have SL502 right here. We have another SL of some sort right here and over here. So we have to short this. Wow, That's intense. Okay. Okay, this mentions something about head. There's also another one, which is to enter the test mode. So the test mode one looks like on another side by the crystal resonator. So yeah, here we are, like over here. So we have to short this one and I don't know. Like let's just short maybe this one. And not touch the test mode, because reason I'm thinking about the test mode, like display doesn't work anyways. Thinking about the test mode because somewhere here there are some errors, but also I saw voltages references. Where the hell I saw this? Oh, here. So here we can test some voltages, so it's like the only thing I don't know what the value has to be. So yeah, you see there is a whole bunch of different voltages we can test. Yeah. And the values of those voltages, let's say they listed somewhere electrical adjustment. So for example, temperature correction, yada yada. It's kind of funny they didn't mention all this here. So the value, for example, VC low, yeah, I need to probably write it down, it's kind of piece of paper, has to be like 235 volts. Yeah. VCO1, let's see, where is that VCO1? Like right somewhere here. Oh, it actually says VCO1, so yeah, and so on and so forth. So by the way, I just noticed something very important. Did you see this? Turned out to be this power brick is actually center positive, which is rare. So yeah, all these guys are center positive, just FYI. It's kind of surprise to me, but they are. So now I'm gonna use my low temperature solder and short this guy, and I'm not sure about this guy yet. Okay, let me do that, because it looks like it's not gonna be just operating at all if it's not shorted. Let's clean up a little bit here, kind of too many things. Yeah, alright guys, so this looked like a bit of a puzzle to me, because even after I disassembled the front panel in order to kind of access the this electronic side of business, I started noticing that I think we have issue with power. Yeah, I kind of measured this is one resonator here, and there is another resonator, I think right here. And what's happening, they don't even have the signal on them. So essentially, I think we have the power issue. Yeah, so voltage regulator do not work properly. So I have to trace it. I have a schematic here which I'm constantly consulting, and this is the like a power side. So what I'm be doing, actually tracing all that. So for example, over here, as you see, they say 6 volt. Yeah, so I don't have 6 volt there. So clearly something is not working. So after spending quite a long time with this board, I have come to conclusion that I'm probably gonna stop, because I spend many hours. So, but I do believe it's not completely dead. So what do we have? So if I power up this board with either 3 volts right here or 1.5 volt through the battery, just attaching my power supply right here, I've noticed when I press the button right here, which is like this particular button, all right, which is playback, what's happening, it actually kicks in. So when it's just power applied, you can have 3 volt on this chip. So there are two chips which are responsible for power management. So IC951 is for charging the battery, and IC901 is actually power management IC of whole system. It has many power rails. It talked to the processor in order to generate all those rails. Okay, so what I've done, I've checked multiple capacitors, thinking that maybe because it doesn't start properly, that there is some kind of short somewhere. But probably either I have to do better job of checking capacitors, or there is something else. So why do I believe this board is not completely dead? Because processor is working, which is this guy. Okay, why it's working? Because when you press the button, something happening, and these buttons, these contacts here, so some of them responsible straight to the button. It's not like this little guy is actually scanning or something. So main processor reads through GPIOs these buttons, and this blobby here is, I think, mostly for the driving the LCD. Okay, so processor works, so there is a power supply for processor enough to it to operate, and it's command this power IC to do stuff. By the way, there is a voltage up here at in a 6-volt range, so I think this this one, no, sorry, there are tons of test points, and some of them correspond to different voltages, and I happen to have to measure, when I pressed the button, measured voltage, and it was at the right ranges, but then about a second it drops back. So there are some conditions are not matching in order to this power management IC to actually continue operating. It has nothing to do with the laser unit here enclosed in this anti-static bag, because I touch it all back on. No, nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with those switches, because there are, well, maybe with switches, but I've tried to log. There are some test points, for example, like over here and like over here, which can be shorted in order to initiate some certain sequences. For example, this little short should turn on the test mode. This little short, I think right here, the little pad, I think it should ignore external buttons, which would be otherwise making this board inoperational. For example, like this button, which actually indicates that the presence of the Minidisc. These buttons, I think, indicates the lock, and there is also these buttons. I'm not sure, there are 3 different buttons, which one is for what, but they have to be ignored, otherwise the board not gonna start. So I actually shorted those pins in order to initiate the mode, but still it didn't help at all. Yeah, so I'm not really sure where I go from here. Essentially spent quite a bit of time, but on positive side, I believe we have properly operational display board. We may have operational optical pickup. For that, I have to take this optical pickup and see if I can replant it into one of the devices which has a broken optical pickup, providing the chassis mounts are compatible. So I tested that some of the other players that I have do not have compatible pinouts over here, so I cannot test this board with something else but these similar players. It could be N510 or NF610. So this is 2 compatible players, that's pretty much it. And this one is, let me repeat it, it's NF610 with FM support, which is mostly in the remote. So yeah, so I'm gonna pretty much have some spare parts for repairing other Minidisc players. So this one is probably gonna be it. So we're gonna stop right now, make notes. I actually have a bunch of notes, like try to check different thingies, like we're checking test points, testing capacitors. So for example, those 2 capacitors, they have really low ASR, but still I couldn't find the short on that particular 2.4 I think volt rail. So because in 2 capacitors with some low ASR, it's kind of yeah, I don't believe that's possibly the problem. And these little guys, not like you can just desolder them, right? If you desolder them, you pretty much have to replace them, you know, which is another problem. So this is super tiny capacitors. I don't think I have many of those, or actually none of those. Let's say I think I have some tiny like that. Don't remember even the value. That's pretty much it. So we're gonna round up this project right now. So that's gonna be another not successful repair of Minidisc player, and this time we have problem with the board. Potentially, again, I can come back to it if I get more information, and maybe someone already has, you know, the solution to this kind of problem. Then board doesn't want to start properly, and I'll be pretty happy if someone give me some more insights on that one. But so far, it's looking like this is gonna go back into the anti-static bag, and we keep it like this for now. So guys, I hope you learned things from this video, but I learned a lot. But we have unsuccessful repair. Please stay tuned for more, I hope, more successful videos. Stay safe and ciao. See you next time.